Hey guys, can you hear me?
Hey John, I could hear you.
Hello. David, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I am.
Yay. This is my cursed computer that never worked on, so yay. Thank you everyone to the early birds. Hi there, everyone. Welcome. We're gonna wait definitely a few more minutes, give everyone time to get joined in.
Aaron, when we get to the point in the meeting with the slate, can you just insert it into the minutes?
Absolutely. Yep, definitely no problem. And I'll put it in chat if we need to as well.
Okay, do I have to do anything on my end?
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Again, we'll just give everyone maybe 2 more minutes before we start, just to give everyone time to join in. Thank you, everyone. While we're doing that, if everyone can just make sure you rename yourself to your full name or your family's name, just so we don't have a lot of iPhone and iPad or whatever. And then some other housekeeping while we get started here. Like I said, if you can make sure you're renamed in Zoom, so that way we can identify who people are. We also like if you can put into chat, just put in your full name. That way, again, there's a record of who is here. Great. And then finally, just whoops, if you can just make sure you stay on mute when you're not asking a question, just so we don't have interference and background noise there. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Again, thank you, everyone, for joining our May General Membership meeting. Brief agenda here. We're going to start with a Devar Torah from Rabbi Cheses. We'll hear a financial update from David Newman. We'll do a quick year in review that we've been doing these past couple of years with some pictures just to kind of show you what's been going on the past couple months. Talk about our quick staff update. We'll present the board slate and we'll have it open for voting. Voting will be online through your account, so make sure you are able to log into your YI Sharon account. And then again, we'll have time for any questions at the end, or you can put it chat directly to me, a private chat, or always you can email me afterwards. Okay. So with that, Rabbi, are you available? Trying to see if he was able to, if Minion, hopefully, I think the timing hopefully should have worked out with Minion ending. Let's see. If not, he will catch up in a couple minutes and we'll do the Devar Torah then. It showed that he signed in. Let's see, 1 second. Um, we can try one more time. Rabbi, are you there? Okay, so we'll start then with the financial update. David, are you
I'm here.
great? So just let me know when to advance the slides.
Great. Hi, everyone. So in front of you is our income from July 1st through April 30th last year. Well, July 1st, 2022 through April 30th, 2023, and then July 1st, 2023 through April 30th, 2024. That's column D. And then the entire budget is column F, and then column G is just some notes for me to remember. And then, if you have questions, we can talk about that. And then next we'll do the expenses, and then we'll do the bottom line of the net. So as you can see, we are slightly ahead of pace on dues collection for this year relative to last year. However, this budget does not show, like, there are some people that just, they're behind on their dues because, that's just their cycle. And some people actually are ahead. Like, we have a few families that have paid dues for next year already. In the breakdown of the budget, we account for that. So that is the 258 number. So you'll be getting reminders between now and June 30th, which is the end of our fiscal year, to fulfill your dues commitment to the synagogue, as this is the largest source of revenue for the synagogue and drives everything that we do. We've raised and surpassed our budget for education. These are targeted donations to the Synagogue for Scholars and Residents and other educational programs. Fundraising. So here, the 159 is what we brought in from the Top Golf event. And then there were a handful of families that made contributions because it was our 50th anniversary, our Jubilee year. So if you take the 159 and you add the earmark donations for the 50th, we brought in a total of $246,927. So basically, let's call it 247, which is pretty remarkable that we were able to raise so much money. This year, the high holidays, I normally, at least since I've been treasurer, don't break much out, but I think it's important here. Usually we have a campaign on Simchat Torah. This year, for obvious reasons, we did not. So you'll see here that the appeal is down by about $10,000 from last year, because we really didn't have an appeal at all this year. The good news is we did sell more lulavim and etrogim. I mean, our costs went up, but that is you'll notice that there's going to be a gap between what we the 112 of what we brought in for the holidays, between that and the 130 which we budgeted for, and that's really because of the holiday campaign. We also sold less seats this year. Prices did go up. It also we have a few people that might need to still pay for seats, but there's a pretty big delta between 75 and 69,000. So I just point that out. And Kalat Torah donations, also, there was not a campaign for that this year. Our investment income is, thankfully, to CDs and interest rates staying high, we are benefiting from that. So we've blown our entire budget, out of the water for that, which is great. And as we continue to see high interest rates, we'll continue to keep money in CDs, which is great for the synagogue because we don't have to pay taxes on any of that interest and income. Kiddush and shul use, we are using and bringing in more money for Kiddush, various Kiddushes, whether it's celebration Kiddush, regular Kiddush, Hashkama Kiddush, teen Kiddush, etc. And then shul use also. We do have some additional expenses. The cost of food has gone up, but nonetheless, we are significantly ahead of where we were, which is nice that people are sponsoring. So thank you for that, and please continue to support the Kiddush Fund. ERTC is an earned tax credit from the federal government that we received. We did not plan on getting this. We didn't know, but this was a nice, almost $30,000 bump. So we shouldn't count on that ever again because those programs are long over. Programming, this is obviously for programs, but the big driver here is the Simchat Torah dinner, which was a smashing success, and then other great events throughout the year, Purim, Hanukkah, etc., have all contributed to this income. And then youth and family, as well as, the programs around youth and family, bar and bat mitzvah clubs, etc. Any questions about the income side so far? I'll take that as a no. So if there are questions, is there anything in the chat? Nope. Okay, so Aaron, if you want to move to the next expenses. So, and we can go back if people, can't remember what the income side was, right? So the same construct here. So the middle column is the actuals for this fiscal year. So payroll expenses are higher than they were last year, but that's normal because, according to the rabbi's contract, and we give raises and whatnot. So we are that's standard, and we're kind of on pace to hit the 305 by the end of June. ASR, and which is Ames Street Realty. So we share the campus with our friends at Shas. So officially, Ames Street Realty pays for the electricity, the heating, and major building expenses. We, Young Israel and Shas, both contribute to ASR, and then ASR pays the bill. So with the high cost of the parking lot that we split with Shas, as well as the work that is being done to create the patio space for Kiddush, those numbers are included in this 168. So that's where the significant increase beyond the 71,000 that we budgeted. The 71,000 is kind of just standard, ASR expenses for the year. But we obviously had to redo the parking lot, and then we're taking the money that we raised from the Jubilee celebration to cover the costs of the patio, etc. Office expenses, so that number is high because we got 3 new laptops, a new laptop for the rabbi, a new laptop for Sandy, and a new computer for Stacy. So that is the difference on why that is higher. And I can look into why it's like we didn't spend $5,000 on laptops, but there's other, also, yes, we pay for that. This is also a timing thing. So we pay subscriptions for Shul Cloud. So we paid a little earlier this year. So that's why the number of 10,000 is, why it's 10,000 versus the 5,000 from the year before. Timing, and then 3 new laptops. Security, obviously we've added security on Friday night. We've also added a second security guard, so that increases our costs, which is why you see the increase from 12 to 25, and while we are over budget. High holidays, so our expenses were down this year because we did not do a tent for the entire Chagim season, but they were a little over because we spent more on lulavim and etrogim because more people bought them. So that's really the overage, honestly. Education, we've spent a little bit more than we budgeted for scholars and residents, but not a tremendous amount. And given our financial situation, it's okay. It's good to spend money on education. Fundraising. So this 42,000 is, the cost of the dinner at Top Golf and all the expenses. So, hello? Oh, sorry. I guess maybe, is that a question, or someone should go on mute?
I'll try to mute them if it's a
Great.
mistake.
So the fundraising line is both the dinner expenses.
They're going over the budget.
Yeah, Arlene, if you could mute yourself, that'd be great. The fundraising line is a combination of the dinner expenses as well.
Going over the budget.
Arlene, could you mute yourself?
Who, me?
Yeah, Arlene, could you mute yourself? We can hear you.
My computer is not making any noise.
But we hear you talking. So could you mute your microphone, please? Or could the host of the meeting mute Arlene for her, please? Thank you. Okay. So the fundraising line, apologies, is a combination of the dinner expenses. And then, when people make donations, if they don't cover the fee, we have to, the synagogue has to pay a fee for, processing the donation. So, if anyone is deeply interested, I'm happy to provide a breakdown, but that is a combination of the fundraising expenses, as well as, we raise money for the pump pots and the hot plates, but we have to then go out and buy them. So in the end, we make money, but there are expenses involved. Kiddush and shul use, as I mentioned before, while the income was up, we have more expenses because we have to pay Mario and Henry for setup and cleanup. We have expenses for food that are greater, and that is the reason why the actuals as of April are almost double what they were a year ago, because we are having more sponsored kiddushes, but costs are going up. Programming, as you remember from the income side, I think we brought in about $29,000. So while the expenses are much higher, we brought in $29,700. So while the programming expenses are higher than budgeted, we've made money on programming, which is a good thing. Youth and family, also, this increase is we spent more money on babysitters for the Yamim Noraim, which was, we've heard, a success. So that is the difference between the 8,600 and the 13,000 that we spent this year, essentially. We're still a little under budget, but the year's not over, and there's still more youth and family programming. The Benot line, so these are all the costs associated with the Benot, from the programs that they run to the supplies that they need to all the costs associated with the Benot. The good news is that we split those costs essentially 50-50. If anyone I'm wrong, please someone correct me, with Shas. So that is a value add to the synagogue. Yoetzet Halacha is Sarah Cheses, and the reason why it was zero as of last year at this time is we just paid the bill extremely late last year. One, because we weren't billed, but the good news is we were billed and we paid it. So we're right on budget. Membership and publicity, we're under budget, but we also are, don't have much room in the Eruv anyway, but we still have money to welcome new members and to promote the synagogue if we actually need to, although thankfully we have a list of like 15 new families on top of the 17 new families that joined last year around July. Inclusion programming, we just basically included it so much. It is a part of everything we do, and to have a separate line seemed a little silly. So anything that's related to inclusion is just kind of baked into, programming or youth and family, etc. So as you can see, our expenses are higher this time relative to last year. And we have spent more on than we budgeted, primarily because of the building expenses with the parking lot and the patio. But we've raised the money for the patio, and we had the money in the building fund for the driveway parking lot rather repair. Any questions? I'll check the chat. Wasn't a lot of the extra security paid for in donations? Yes. So we, yes, not all of the extra security was paid for by donations, but if Aaron goes back to the income side, under fundraising, the 159 number is obviously the dinner, but it also includes, when you make a donation, because you make a donation in honor of security, or that line is an amalgamation of a bunch of smaller lines. The only donations that don't go under fundraising are donations that are made during the Yamim Noraim. What happens to the surplus money in some lines that make money after June 30th? The money that goes into the surplus goes into the synagogue reserve fund, so that if we ever have a year where we don't get $30,000 from the government, we have money to pay for things. Or if we have a roof that has a hole in it, or it covers things like the aligning of the pipes that were discovered underneath the patio that no one expected to find, that cost more money for the patio project. So this is as of April 30th. We have another, if today is May, whatever, but we haven't, according to the financials, we have another 2 months until the end of the fiscal year, and we'll see where things shake out. What about grants? Where are those shown? So grants, all of our grants are targeted grants. So the grants are restricted funds. So, when we get money for from the government for security, that goes into donations. But when we get other grants, they from CJP for things, they have a specific grant expense line. So that's not part of the P&L. That's not part of the operating budget. Those are restricted lines. So they're not shown here. That's on a balance sheet. Was the extra education paid for by directed donations? So the extra, we brought in $4,000 for education, and we spent where's education? We spent 10,000. So if you look at education, we lost money, but we also allocate money from the synagogue budget for education. So Deborah, I don't know if that answers your question, but we for sure covered the difference between 9,500 that we budgeted and the 10,000 that we spent. So the difference between 10,118 and 9,500 is definitely covered by the 4,600 that we brought in. Yes. Okay, good. So I hopefully answered that. So if there's no other questions, we can go to the next slide, which is just the bottom line. So as of April 30th, we are $30,000 ahead of the game. If you add all of the contributions for the Jubilee, we are $115,440 ahead of the game. For the whole year, we only budgeted, because we're a nonprofit, we don't want to overcharge members to have just to have a surplus. Although there are, opinions there that a nonprofit should always be building their reserve fund, but that's not a conversation for now. But we're budgeting basically to break even at 148. So we are going to have a surplus at the end of the year, but we also have plans to use the donations from the Jubilee gifts for the patio, for adding another staff person, which Stacy's already started on a very part-time basis, and then moving forward, effective July 1, we'll be working more hours. So there is a plan to use the most of the surplus, and then the next board will decide on, once the fiscal year finishes, then the next board will decide what to use the remaining surplus for in the future. Any questions? All right.
Okay.
Aaron, take it away.
You. Yep, thank you. Wonderful. Let's see if my mouse will, there we go. Okay, thank you for that. I think with that, the rabbi was able to join in, and he was going to give us a Devar Torah.
All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Aaron, for convening the meeting, and thank you, David, for the budget update. It's always good to come after some good news of a surplus. Definitely a fantastic piece of news. There's a harachaman that we say in benching. Harachaman hu yishbor aleinu me'al tzavarenu. That please God, you should have mercy on us and break the yoke from our neck. V'hu yolechenu komyut liartzenu, and you should lead us erect to our land. It's something that we say on a regular basis, and we might not appreciate the origin of this harachaman. It actually comes from Parshat Bechukotai, which we've been reading during the week. And during the first aliyah, there is a pasuk that relates to the blessings, the good things, before we talk about the curses, the negative things. So if we walk with God, there are certain positive repercussions, sort of uplifting consequences of following the path. And the pasuk says, "Ve'eshbor motot ulchem," that God will break the yokes above our necks. Ve'olech et chum komiyut, and with this newfound freedom from the things that hold us down, He will allow us to walk ko mi'ut. Rashi says this is bekoma zikufa, with an erect posture. So we clearly see that both parts of this harachaman are modeled after this sort of two-part promise of breaking off the things that inhibit us, then allowing us to be more erect in our standing. And the addition that's made in benching is that it's specifically le'artzenu. We're meant to be able to walk straight up into our land. So of course, this is a reference to Eretz Yisrael. And on a shot level, I would argue that this is asking Hashem that we should be able to go to Eretz Yisrael while we're still alive. Meaning to say, we shouldn't have to wait until the days to come, the future era, when we will perhaps be buried there, or there will be some sort of tchiyat hametim that happens there. But rather, we want to be there while we are still living, while we're still kicking, while we still have some life left in us. I think that's the literal meaning of it. But perhaps a more relatable interpretation would be that we want to be able to go to Israel not with a bent posture, but with a proud posture. And the reason why I'm sharing this short Dvar Torah now is because I returned this morning from a short 4-day trip to Israel, and it was a fantastic time to go to be there for the Aaron Krantz wedding and for another wedding from a family back in Shul I served in Toronto. But a very different tenor to the trip I took this time versus last time. The mission I joined for was to bear witness to the atrocities of the Simchat Torah massacre. And that was a position of being bent, of feeling downtrodden, of feeling that yoke of Jewish history on our shoulders. And the trip I took this time was much more in the Komimiyut style, being under chuppahs, dancing on Hare Yehuda, the Judean hills, was a very different sort of tone of feeling that fulfillment of that bracha of being able to stand upright in our land and to be able to see the resilience of the generation of Israelis, the young Israelis that are doing miluim and showing up to keep the country going strong, and to see members of our own shul, lots of members who made Aliyah joined for the Simcha. Many of the kids who are there studying for the year joined, and they had a certain pride, a certain sort of posture to them a fulfillment of this komamiyut. So I hope that when we say this bracha in this harachaman and benching, and when we hear these words in the Torah reading this week, that we can aspire to live by them, by being proud, by standing tall, and hopefully those will be the orientations that we have to Medinat Yisrael in the weeks and months ahead. So that's my Dvar Torah for the evening. Thank you for being flexible and waiting for it. Glad you started the meeting and didn't wait all this time. I was just handling a few questions after Mariv. So, Aaron, I'll hand it back over to you
Thank
for our
you.
next agenda item.
Yep. Yep. And that next item, you can help with some of this narration here for some of the things we've done these past couple months.
Great. I'll jump right in and I'll make the same disclaimer I make every year, which is that the methodology behind this year in review is whatever pictures happen to be on my phone. So obviously, none of these things could happen on Shabbos and Yom Tov, which is among the times that we are at our best and fullest. But this is sort of just a potpourri of moments that we've experienced over the last few months to help us appreciate the strength of our Kehila HaKadosha. So the first one is with Representative Jake Auchincloss, who has been standing very strong, very proud, and very tall for Israel, together with Nina Rogoff, who's been helping our community connect to Israel. This is a picture taken in front of our Aliyah Glory Wall. And it was a great morning that we had with hundreds of people from the different shul communities around Sharon. It was a great Q&A, very sort of a very honest and substantive exchange that we had with Representative Auchincloss. And on the way out, he shared with me how much he appreciated the depth and the substance of our questions, and how amazed he was with how much we know and how much we follow and how much we care about what's going on in Israel. So that's one shining moment. Another one, we had several dinners this year to raise tzedakah for various causes related to the ongoing war efforts, whether it was for protective gear or to provide socks for warm clothing for some of the soldiers up north during the winter. And so that also was a source of pride and a source of strength for our community to do something together that had a purposeful end to it.
Yeah, and we had lots of people coming out week after week after week, and it was just really great seeing everyone coming out for that.
Yeah, I think we did 4 or 5 of them, and it was all volunteer led. The Benot really took the lead, and we raised thousands and thousands of dollars. And I got lots of thank you notes from the recipients, so it's good to appreciate where our efforts go. Next, and Aaron, you can also pipe in here.
Yep.
This was our Hanukkah party at Abby and Joe's place, and this was I never pronounce it, the charcuterie board. I don't know what I don't know how to pronounce it, but
Charcuterie, I believe.
Charcuterie. Okay.
Charcuterie.
Thank you. So as you can see, it looks delicious and it tasted delicious, and we had a lot of fun together with the present swap and some good food and good drink. So again, just a nice time had by all. More on some of the Israel related stuff, as that's certainly been the preoccupation of the year. On the right, just with the Homas wearing the Boston Stands with Israel hats in Washington, D.C. for the rally on the Mall with 300,000 strong. And on the left, a group picture of our bus from Sharon. Again, we really showed up. And we mobilized our team to be able to represent our values publicly. And it was really memory making for everyone that joined.
Yep.
This is the first morning that we used the Sefer Torah that was donated to our community by Adi Sachs in memory of her father. And it's a beautiful Torah. We've been really enjoying it. It's Katav. The writing is really gorgeous. It's nice and light, so everyone a little bit more inclusive for Hagba. And I'm also excited to report, and I'll share more about this another time, that one of the purposes of my trip to Israel was to also get a new Sefer Torah for the one that we had commissioned after surviving COVID. There was an issue with the one that we did purchase, and so this was a new one that was written in its stead. So I took that back and delivered it this morning to our own Kodesh, and so we'll figure out a way to also use that again. And now we have 2 new lightweight Sifrei Torah that will hopefully be utilized for dancing on Simchat Torah and reading, on a weekly basis for our teen minyan, our main minyan, our Shkam minyan. It's great to have new Sifrei Torah. Really adds a lot more excitement to our relationship to Kriyat HaTorah.
Amazing.
Next. Okay, this was, we did not win the costume competition this year, but this was my wife and I dressing up as a Swiftie and Kelsey, I think his name is. You can tell how much I know. This was my daughter's idea. This was our Purim Seuda that we did at the shul this year, which was also a smashing success. We were posing in the shul in the school hallway, which was decked out by the Benot to help us get into the Purim mood. And this was our NCSY Purim night activity of Hipil Pur, of sort of a lottery. We had a ton of teens. It was also just a smashing success. This was the blackjack table. They just bet, for candy and for fun. Shabbos Kestenbaum, our NCSY sort of lead, together with Adria Gerber and Abby Phillips, really did a great job starting NCSY, and we have some good news to share hopefully soon in terms of how we're going to keep this momentum going next year with hiring somebody new to replace Shabbos Kestenbaum, who is going back to New York after finishing his stint here in Boston. This was one of the events we had as part of our 50th celebration. The Weinberg brothers, Mizrach, together with Ami, who was in town for honoring his parents, Aaron and Sharon, did a Motzei Shabbat Kumsitz. Really got a fantastic turnout. Lighting was great. Music was great. It really brought us all together, gave us some good spirit, and added a lot of ruach to our weekend celebration, our Yovel milestone. This was in my office right after Shabbos was over. I was able to get a picture with Rebbe Umori, Rabbi J.J. Schachter, and 2 of my children. I gifted him a bottle of maple syrup from Moose Hill, and he was amazed about the whole process. And I asked for a picture, and this was a very meaningful and special Shabbos for him. He came back because he wanted to be here to mark the passage of time and to wax nostalgic. And I just saw him again last week at the RCA conference in New York, and he was just telling me how meaningful that Shabbos was that he spent with the community, sharing about the early days of the shul. And it was really a special Shabbos, and that led to the Sunday event at Top Golf, which I think is the next slide, Aaron. Yep, where we rented out the top floor, and we had a ton of fun together. Like I said, not your average shul dinner. We gave out challah boards. We, had a long drive competition. We had some great food. We saw some amazing memorabilia and historical sort of material that Aaron had dug up together with Dan Shimshak from our files going back, 50 years. We really just had a blast. We had some great videos that were shown and made. We had some great toasts that were shared. Obviously we fundraised a very significant amount. I think it was like $220,000 for this, which enabled us to go ahead with the kiddush patio and professionalize our staff a little bit more and have some left over, hopefully, for some future projects. This was really our slogan of the evening, and of course we did a nice spoof on the Super Bowl commercial with Dunkin' Donuts, and that was a great amount of fun. That video that we posted to our YouTube channel has the most views in the history of our YouTube channel. So thank you to the person who watches it every night twice to give us those numbers. But it was really just a great laugh and sort of a good picture of our unpretentious, creative character as a community, which Rabbi Mark Baker appreciated in his toast. And it was just a feel-good kind of evening to mark the growth and strength of our community after 50 years, and looking forward to another strong 50 years ahead. I think that was the last slide.
Yep, I believe. Oh, one more.
Oh, one more. Okay. So this was just a few weeks ago. Again, it was a Motzei Shabbat, so I was able to get a picture. We had, dozens of people come to the Beit Midrash after Rabbi Dr. Shlomo Brody served as a scholar in residence relating to his book on the ethics of our fathers, relating to the IDF, and also relating to his organization Ematai, about coaching people to make informed choices about advanced healthcare directives. And we gave out 75 forms for advanced healthcare directives, which I've met with many couples since then in my office to go through them personally, to help them figure out how to live their entire life according to Jewish values. And again, it was a great substantive, informative weekend, co-sponsored by Mizrahi and our shul, to bring an incredible resource to people, and really, as I said, made my job a lot easier to advance some of these conversations at the right time. I think that's the last one, Aaron.
Yes.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. So, yeah, lots going on. I just had a couple slides just to recap a couple items that you may be asking about. Right, so we redid the parking lot 6 or 7 months ago, whatever that was. We had applied for a grant for the security planters. That grant was not funded. We had to wait for the pavement to cure, to cool, before we could put heavy weights on it. So we had to wait a few months anyways. So now we are in the process of reapplying to try to get some more grants. Obviously, if this round doesn't go through, then we'll figure out a different plan to, again, get a physical barrier as well as some shrubbery back where the fire lane was. So hopefully we'll have more on that in the coming months. The status, as you heard, about the kiddush patio and stroller parking. So this is some pictures from about a week ago. It has progressed since then. This has all been filled in, but we unearthed a lot of things that we weren't expecting. There were electrical lines, water lines, lots of things that weren't where they were supposed to be, including hitting a water line, taking out water to the modulars for a couple hours. So that was super fun. So as David mentioned, that just delayed the project a few more days, added some more costs, having to reroute some water lines and other things there. So the project is ongoing. Just so you're all aware of what's going on there. Super fun times back there.
I'll just add that they're supposed to pour the concrete next week because now they've solved all the issues. They've graded it completely. And so the schedule still is, as of today, pour the concrete early next week. And hopefully the patio will be usable by Shavuot. So I think it's in the near future.
Amazing. Thank you. And if you remember 6 months ago, we talked about the front lobby. The state had a freeze on the grant that we were using for that. That freeze was then lifted, but then we still weren't allowed to incur any costs. So as of May, we're now finally moving forward with that. So again, hopefully this summer we'll be able to get that taken care of. So that is finally moving forward. And as you've seen some of the emails, the WhatsApp about the staffing update, as we mentioned, from some of the fundraising and some of the budgeting of growing our staff. We have a communications and event manager, so Stacy Trencher. Hopefully everyone already knows her, but she's going to be, as we transition into the summer, picking up more of those functions there. So you'll be hearing from her a lot more. So that's very exciting. And then lastly, before we get to the slate, the board, again, as we mentioned, our shul runs on volunteers. So I really just want to thank our outgoing board. I was president for 2 years, so I'm transitioning off of that as well. So again, I just want to thank everyone on the board who helped. Thanks to the new incoming board as well, and thanks to the community for being a part of this. This is amazing, and again, I encourage people to step up. There's always tons of committees and things to do and things to fix and whatnot. So thank you for all of that. So here is our board slate. I just wanted to mention there are 2 updates. When we emailed this out a month ago, we had 2 TBDs that were then filled in, and I figured I'd rather put the names in as opposed to leaving them to be determined and then filling them in a couple of days. So the slate, David Newman for president, Vice President Avi Traum, I'm past president, treasurer Abby Phillips, Financial Secretary Rosalind Farron, Corresponding Secretary John Grobe, Recording Secretary Janie Sheffetz, Chesed Sharon Lerner, Education Deborah Clapper, Fundraising Eitan Baratz, House Rachel Klausner, Membership Adi Sachs, Programming Adam Rhodes, Shas Liaison Harley Ramelson, Security Avi Pultman, Youth and Family Emily Gaber, and finally, without portfolio, Michael Gerber. So that is the slate there. And then what we'll do is we're going to move on to voting. This should really only take a couple minutes. We'll give everyone 5 minutes to do it. You need to log into your YI account. There's 1 vote per member household. And according to Massachusetts state law and our bylaws, you have to be located within 15 miles of Sharon, technically, to vote. And I am going to, this link into chat. Again, you might need to sign in, and you can then vote. You can open up that form. You'll just click other things on just like normal things on our website. You'll sign in, you'll type in your name, and then you'll just see the slate will be listed, and then you can vote yes, no, or abstain. So we'll just take a couple minutes for that. And then there's just 1 or 2 final things at the end of when we're done with that. So we'll pick up. It is 5 after, so let's give it 5 minutes, make sure everyone's okay. If you have any issues, feel free to put it into chat to myself or
Getting
to...
a page not found. Has anyone had it work?
did I copy the wrong link? Okay, give me a second, everyone. Sorry. Of course. Oh, okay. I do see that. Let me go back in and give me a second, everyone. I had it on my screen. Oh, well, let's see. It's asking me to log in. Okay. Let me put it in chat here. Is that any different?
Yeah, there's no word vote.
It is different. I don't know where that came from. Okay. Thank you. I just put the new one into chat. Thank you for eagle eye there. Gotta love it. So try that link. Let me know someone if it's working for you.
Worked for me.
Thank you. Okay, so again, we'll give everyone 4 or 5 minutes for that. And then we'll pick back up. Excuse me.
All right, Aaron, you got 22. I think we're good.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. Okay. So great. Again, everyone can continue voting as well, but great. So three last things. Number one is according to our bylaws, in June we have another general membership meeting. We will present the new board will present the budget for the next year. So that meeting will be on June 26th at 8:15 via Zoom. We'll send out that info. Whoopsies. We'll send that info out by email shortly. We also have graduation kiddish coming up. So if you've got a graduate to celebrate, please register for that coming up. And then with that, Rabbi, I think you wanted to have the floor for a minute.
Yes, indeed. I wanted to take a moment to appreciate you, Aaron, as this is your last meeting as Shul president, and to just thank you on behalf of everybody in our community, and thank you personally for your devotion and your dedication. You know, we had our almost weekly check-ins and lots of phone calls at all times of the day and night over the last 2 years. And my admiration and my respect for you only grew with time. You figured out how to channel your talents and strengths to the benefit of all of us. And that's a really remarkable thing. And I want to specifically appreciate that when you began as president, you had a few goals in mind, and you really achieved them. You mentioned how you wanted to bolster our youth program, and we hired a youth director, and we did a lot more to support our families. You wanted to rehabilitate our annual event, and to make a splash with our 50th, and you really poured in so much time and so much effort, so many hours to that, and it was an event that made memories that we'll think back to for many years to come. And so, just hats off to you, Aaron. Being the shul president is not an easy thing to do, and you did a great job, and we're all better for it. So just here. And thank you for all that you've done to grow our growing community. And we're looking forward to continuing to have you involved. But hopefully, David will take some of the role and contribute his talents and strengths, to the benefit of our community. And we're looking forward to go from chayil to chayil, from strength to strength. So thank you so much, Aaron. We really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks for those kind words.
Thank you, Aaron. We will stand on your shoulders.
Thank you. And with that, again, if there's any open questions, if anyone wants to bring anything up now, or a private chat, or again, you can always send me an email and we can go from there, or obviously David, the rabbi, anyone on the board. But besides that, that's it for our
Aaron,
agenda. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Yes, Janie.
Can you repeat the date of the membership meeting?
Yes, Wednesday, June 26th at 8:15 p.m.
In person or Zoom?
Via Zoom.
Okay. Wednesday, June 26th at 8:15 p.m.
Correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm curious if I'll ask a question. If people been getting our weekly announcements, we had some trouble with some filters. I myself was not getting the announcements for several weeks. We figured it out. We figured out why. But if anybody here who reads their announcements is still not getting them, please let me or Aaron know, because we think we fixed the problem, but we don't know what we don't know. So please just give us a heads up if you're still not getting them, and we'll try to remedy it.
Great. Thank you, everyone. I don't see any questions coming in. I see the people dropping off. So thank you, everyone. Have a good evening and see you soon.